Hello there everyone, welcome back to the channel and another instalment of the Space Marine Codex Adeptus Astartes review. We're going to do fast attack today. There's 6 selections to get through, some really interesting ones, one new Primaris unit, a couple of units that have never really been used recently, and a couple that have, so it'll be interesting to see, you know, have the ones that aren't used come up, have the ones that used a lot go down, what's the new Primaris unit like. The new Primaris unit, the Inceptors, are in the Dark Imperium box as well, so it's quite important probably for a lot of people, because a lot of people have probably got those models. So let's get right into it. Skip forward to fast attack. Okay. So the first thing I was going to do quickly is go through bike squads and scout bike squads at the same time. They're over the page from each other, but they're very, very similar, so it's just pointing out the differences really. So the bike squad has the same stat line as a Space Marine. The difference is they have movement 14, so they are pretty quick bikes in the new edition, which is quite nice. Toughness 5 and 2 wounds, so they're also reasonably tough. The scout bikes are exactly the same, apart from they have a movement characteristic of 16, so they're a little bit quicker, and they have a 4+ save, because obviously they're scouts. You can have, you start with 3 bikers in the Space Marine bike unit, but you can have up to additional 5, so a unit of 8 and a single attack bike. The attack bike will go through because it's got a separate slot. The Space Marine bikes and biker sergeants are armed with a bolt pistol, frag and crack grenades. Each of the Space Marine bikes is equipped with a twin bolt gun. The attack bike is armed with a twin bolt gun and heavy bolter, and it's crewed by 2 Space Marines armed with bolt pistols and frag and crack grenades. The scout bikes, on the other hand, you can have up to 9 overall, because you can't have the attack bike. Each one is armed with a bolt pistol and a Astartes shotgun, so that's pretty cool. They come with a shotgun, which is quite nice. Combat knife, frag and crack grenades. Each scout bike is equipped with a twin bolt gun again. So a good time to go through the twin bolt gun. So the twin bolt gun is just a rapid fire 2 version of the bolt gun. Apart from that, it's exactly the same. It just gets the 2 shots base and then the 4 shots if you're in rapid fire. So actually, you know, you can pump out a pretty decent amount of firepower. If you've got 6 bikes at close range, they are getting 4 shots each, which is 24 shots. I'm not saying it's world beating, but you know, it is a good volley of shooting, so that's not too bad. The Space Marine Sergeant may replace his bolt pistol with an item from the Sergeant equipment list. Any Space Marine biker replaces bolt pistol with a chainsword, so you can get that additional attack if you want it to be combatty. Up to 2 Space Marines may replace their bolt pistols with an item from the special weapons list, so that's kind of the crucial bit. You can get a couple of melter guns in there, or whatever else you might want. And the attack bike may replace the heavy bolt with a multi-melter. They have Nation No Fear, combat squads, and they have turbo boost, which basically means when this unit advances, add 6 inches to the move characteristic for the movement phase instead of rolling a d6. So these remove 20, the scouts would remove 22, because they also have turbo boost. So there is some pretty fast movement going on. Scout bikes have less options, so the sergeant can take stuff from the equipment list, and up to 3 scout bikers may replace their twin bolt gun with an Astartes grenade launcher. So as we've talked about that, again, we'll go through the Astartes grenade launcher. So it's got frag and crack mode. It's 24 inches. Frags, assault d6, strength 3, AP dash, damage 1. So really not going to do a lot. The crack grenade, however, is a bit more promising. So it's assault 1, but it's strength 6, AP -1, and damage d3. And as these scouts are now hitting on 3s in the new Codex, I know they had previously at times, but you know, it is in the new Codex. That, you know, if you fire 3 crack grenades, you're going to get 2 hits, strength 6, d3 damage. You know, it's not too bad, to be fair. So it's okay. So I'm just going to jump to the points pretty quickly for these 2. So a bike squad is 25 points, an attack bike is 35, but 25 points for the bikes. Scout bikes are 23, so it's 2 points more to have a Space Marine bike, and basically that's for the 3+ save. Apart from that, you get some more options later, but obviously you have to pay for those options. So really, it's the 3+ save, whereas the scouts do have +2 movement. I'd probably, to be fair, find myself paying for the bike squads at that point. If the scouts also had like a scouting rule or something like that, I might be tempted to go with them. but I'd probably get a bike squad if I had to choose. But I'm not overly enamoured with either for the points value. They're not bad. I wouldn't say they're like really overcosted or anything. If you're a White Scar, don't worry. You know, you're not paying out loads for your units. 25 points. You know, they are toughness 5. They have got 2 wounds, and they do also, like I say, potentially at short range have a 4-shot bolt gun along with their own personal weapons. And there are some pretty cool options there. When you're moving 14 inches and you've got a melter gun, so you want to get in that 6-inch range, that is a 20-inch movement where that could happen because of the 6-inch range on top of the 14-inch move. So they are pretty quick, but I would have liked to see them around the 20-point mark. But then, of course, they'd be the same price as Primaris, but have an extra toughness and movement on them. So it's all sort of swings and roundabouts, I suppose, a little bit. So the assault squads, and obviously one of the things I'd sorry to quickly say about the bike squads is, obviously, as well as them being, like I say, decent for the point, it's just not great. The other thing is if you're a White Scar player, you get so many special rules to do with hitting and running, like we've discussed already in the chapter tactics, that it can work really well. And if you've got a whole army of bikers, your whole army is so quick, and you've got land speeders fizzing around, storm talons, that people can't really catch you, and they can't deal with that. So I suppose what I'm saying is I don't really like bike squads in isolation. If you're going to do an army, that's fine, but if you're in isolation, I think they're just not brilliant value for their points, I think, is where I'm going with that. So assault squad, this is a unit we saw some of, not loads of it. We generally saw more towards the end of the previous edition because they became part of, I think it was the Skyhammer formation, I think. One of those that basically let them assault when they came down, so people started taking them. So they're a standard Space Marine stat line. They've even got a 6-inch move, but obviously they've got jump packs. They have standard weapons, which we've been through all of, apart from the Eviscerator and the Melter Bomb. So the Melter Bomb is a 4-inch grenade with a melter profile, but you don't get the half-range extra damage, which makes sense because it'd be 2 inches instead of 4 inches, so wouldn't really make much sense. And the Eviscerator, which is times 2 strength, AP -4, D3 damage, and subtract 1 from your to hit roll. So it's basically a power fist, really. But it looks a bit meaner. I like the double chainsword. It looks pretty funky. They have a Nation No Fear, Combat Shield, so 5+ invulnerable saves for them, Combat Squads, and Jump Pack Assault, which is they can come down within 9 inches of the enemy. The Space Marine Sergeant, now this is currently without their jump packs. I'll see how much they are without their jump packs. Assault Squad, 13 points. So it's only 3 points more for a jump pack. So I think 13 points is obviously a pretty standard price because they are, without the jump packs, the exact same as Tactical Marine. But I think 3 more points for a jump pack is not bad at all. That's not bad at all. It's only 3 points. And you get quite a lot out of it, but we'll go through that now. So the Space Marine Sergeant may replace his bolt pistol with a 9th in the melee weapons or pistol lists. The Sergeant may use a chainsword with a weapon for the melee weapons list. Space Marine Sergeant can take a combat shield. He can also take melter bombs, so some nice potential upgrades there. Up to 2 Space Marines may replace their bolt pistol and chainsaw with a flamer or with a plasma pistol and a chainsword. Oh, so it's with a plasma pistol and a chainsword. So they... Oh yes, because they already got a chainsword, sorry. Of course, so they're basically just getting the plasma pistol extra. I felt like it was you were forced to take a chainsaw with a plasma pistol for some reason. For every 5 models in the unit, 1 model replaces its bolt pistol and chainsaw with an Eviscerator, so you can have a couple of those. So that's not bad. You know, your Sergeant could have a special weapon, then you've got 2 Eviscerators as well. So you've got some good melee punch, potentially. Though the issue with the Assault Squad is that because they don't have a second attack for combat weapon and pistol anymore, they don't get an attack for charging. They are on 1 attack now. If they've got chainswords, they do obviously get the extra attack, but one that still leaves them 1 lighter than they were before if they're charging. And also some of the unit isn't going to have that. So if you're an Eviscerator, you've got 1 attack with that Eviscerator. So their attack count does still let them down a bit. The entire unit may take jump packs for a 5-strong unit, or power rating +1 for a 5-strong unit, +2 for a 10-strong unit. Obviously, we know that it's 3 points more in match play. If they do, their move characteristics increase to 12 inches, and they gain the jump pack and fly keywords. So obviously that does mean they can contact flyers, or it does mean also flyers can contact them, or anti-air units, which would be a -1 to hit normally, like Honor Jadoon callers for the Mechanicus. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, but I think for 3 points, getting that extra 6-inch range is very good. It gets them combat basic guaranteed turn 2 if that's what they're there for, which presumably they are. They are a close combat unit, but these are also you can potentially take this unit in a transport, on foot, no jump pack, just because they've got the combat weapon bolt pistol that normal tactical marines can't. So I think assault marines have their place. I just think then they're good value for points. I just think the special weapons that are going to make them good, right, I'm going to take a power fist on my sergeant, 2 eviscerators, really, give someone a kicking, and then obviously you've got chainsword attacks as well. The problem is your sergeant's got 2 attacks with his power fist, which is okay, but obviously for a sergeant it's not amazing. And then the 2 of the eviscerators have only got 1 attack, and it's just, without a rule like the previous formation gave you, like charging the turn you came down, it's just a bit meh. It's just not gonna, I don't think it'll really cut it. So I think if you're going to see squads with jump packs, you'll see Vanguard or the Inceptors, which we're going to come across soon. Unfortunately, not your basic assault marines. So now I've got land speeders. So land speeders have a 16-inch move, 3+ weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength 4, toughness 5, 6 wounds, 2 attacks, leisure 7, and 3+ save. So they're probably tougher than they were, but not by a lot. A lot of vehicles have got a lot tougher than they used to be. Whereas land speeders, the armor 10 was very weak, and the 2 hull points was it? I think maybe 3. But wound 6 seems way better, but they're only toughness 5. They've got 3 up save, which is quite good, admittedly. But that toughness 5 is pretty soft. There's a lot of things in the game that's strength 5. So that would worry me a little bit. You get 1 to start with, you can have 2 additional. They come with a heavy bolter. They can swap the heavy bolter for a multi-melter, and they can also take an assault cannon, heavy flamer, or typhoon underslung or on the top, depending on which one you choose. They have, and they shall know no fear. They have explodes, and they have anti-grav upwash, which means if they have a unit of 3, you go 20 inches rather than 16, which is a nice little rule, but obviously doesn't really change too much. They do have the fly rule, which is quite nice. So these can potentially be an anti-flyer unit. So that gives you a bit more anti-air potentially if you're like, oh, I'm going to take a stalker and then no more anti-air. These can be kind of a last minute reserve to try and take out a flyer potentially. They can have a good amount of firepower. The only problem with land speeders is I think they're quite expensive. So there's 70 points base, which is not too bad. Like I said, they're probably slightly tougher now than they used to be. But, although I'm not entirely convinced, like I say, with that toughness 5. But it's how much the weapons are. So an assault cannon is 21 points. The Typhoon missile launcher is 50. And the multi-mount is 27. So even conservatively, you're looking at 120 points. Realistically, because you'll probably want to take the Typhoon because it's probably the best weapon, it's 150 points land speeder. Therefore, if you want 3 of them, it's 400. It's a quarter of your army for 3 land speeders, and that to me is mental. Yeah, just crazy. I get the toughness 5. I get the fact there's 18 wounds between them, 3 up save. But it's just, I just think it's too many points. If, for 80 more points, you can have an Imperial Knight. 80 points, and you can have an Imperial Knight. And I just can't see that they're that close. If it was 120 points for the Typhoon and multi-mount are probably the best combo, then you're talking, because all of a sudden it's 90 points less than that, so it's about 2... sorry, it'd be about 360. It's still a hell of a lot of points, but they are probably going to last a bit longer than they used to. You have got 3 of them, and they are tooled up nicely. They could do some damage, especially if they're getting close with those multi-mowers. But I think as a standard, they're a bit pricey. They're one I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on. Am I right? Are they pricey, or are you thinking, well, actually, 450 points, they'll pop a tank averagely a turn with 6 crap missiles and 3 multi-mowers? So if they'll more or less crack any vehicle in the game, and vehicles in the game are 300-400 points now sometimes, like for land raiders, things like that, they're worth it. Like I said, they give you a bit of anti-flyer. but I think they're quite overpriced. It's a shame because I kind of want some land speeders in my army, but I think they're going to be sitting out unless one of you guys helps me out in the comments section with a set of rules there. Again, there might be something you can do with one of the chapter tactics, like for instance the Salamander one. It's the chapter tactic, or it's something that Vulcan Heston does a coming which actually re-roll hits with melters. Again, maybe then, because the melters are just like that guaranteed to hit and wound, perhaps, but I think they're a bit overpriced. The attack bike squad is the same stat line as a bike. It's just got 4 wounds instead of 2, which is fine. You can have 1, but you can have up to 3. They come with a twin bolt gun, heavy bolter, and they're crewed by Space Marines with bolt pistols, frag, and crack grenades. So we've been through all the weapons. There's a few options there. We replaced the heavy bolt with a Moy Melter, and they shall know fear, and turbo boost, just that 6-inch extra move, so it's making them quite quick. Now they're interesting, so they're 35 points. They've got 4 wounds though, so they're not to be taken too lightly with a 3-up save for 35 points. And the heavy bolter is 8 points, so that'd make them 43. The multi-melter would make them 62, I think. Let's have to think about that. So if you wanted 3 of them with 3 multi-melters, they'd be about 180 points. I'd be tempted to go with them over land speeders. The land speeder models are much better, but they're the better choice, I think. Because 3 of them are only 30 points less than a land speeder. Sorry, 3 points more than a land speeder even, sorry. And they would have double the wounds with the same save and the same toughness. And they'd still fire 3 multi-melters, which is more firepower than the land speeder's got. Especially when you add the twin bolt guns. I know they're not going to do loads, but every little helps. They can move pretty much as fast as the land speeder. They're only 2 inches slower. Again, let me know, because there seems to be a chronic point differential there. But I can get 3 of those for 30 points more than that, and they have more wounds with the same toughness and save and more firepower. They don't have the fly rule, fine, but let's be honest, that's not worth 30 points. That's worth 5, 10 points maybe, if that. Let me know what you think, guys. The attack bike squad actually, as well as being better than a land speeder, for me, also just seem like actually quite good value, genuinely quite good value. They're a little unit that people aren't going to pay attention to until you ram it right down the throat of their monolith and can potentially do some serious damage. Okay, attack bikes maybe on the menu. Again, that's nice as well actually, because I know the flyers are good. We haven't been through the flyers, but I know the flyers are good. So for those speedy armies like White Scars, the flyers are good, the attack bikes are good, which makes me happy because I was looking at the scout bikes, which are okay, and the land speeders, which seem to be quite a bit overpointed, and so I'm quite happy that it seems like there's some fast stuff that is going to do really well. Finally, we have the last fast attack, which is the Inceptor squad. So this is cool. So this is the new Primaris unit that was in the Dark Imperium box. So they have a Primaris stat line, but with a 10-inch move. So they're just faster than Primaris. That's it, but that's fine. So you get 2 Inceptors and an Inceptor Sergeant, but you can have 3 additional ones. So you can have a unit of 6. Each model is equipped with 2 Assault Bolters. So Assault Bolters are 18 inches, which is fine because with their move you effectively got a 28-inch range, so that's fine. Assault 3, now you've got 2 of them, so you've got 6 shots. Strength 5, AP -1, damage 1. So it's basically a heavy bolter, but they've got 2 of them. So having 2 heavy bolters each is cool, firstly, looks awesome. Secondly, it's actually pretty good economy because instead of paying for a Marine and a heavy bolter, you pay for an Inceptor who's more expensive, but then you only pay, you just have those basic weapons. So basically to have potentially, if there's 6 of them, 12 heavy bolters, you'd have to have 3 Devastator squads fully equipped with heavy bolters, which would take up more choices in your army, would be less flexible, would probably just be about tougher. Yeah, just about tougher, but not by a lot because these guys have got 2 wounds and toughness 5. So it'd probably take about the same amount of time to kill them. So that is a lot of firepower for these guys. They can also, though, have Plasma Exterminators, and this is quite interesting. So they're 18-inch range, both Assault D3, Strength 7, AP -3, damage 1, or if you supercharge, does mean you die on a 1, and you do have a lot of shots potentially, so it's probably going to happen. But you get strength 8, AP -3, damage 2. So if it's the end of the game, gotta kill this guy to win the game, or someone leaves an awesome general out to dry and you're like, right, this is my moment, you can leap forward and use that. So they're pretty good. Now the D3 is a little unreliable, which is why I think as long as you've got enough anti-armor and anti-tank in your army, I would probably go Assault Bolter. But the payoff potentially is brilliant. You jump down, which you can do, so they have meteoric descent, which means you can arrive within 9 inches of the enemy, deep strike, and you happen to roll 3 shots at strength 7, AP 3, damage 1. Remember, they got 2 of these bad boys, so that's 6 shots each. And all of a sudden you've got 36 shots, strength 7, AP 3, damage 1. You can't overheat, hitting on 3s. Just everything's dead. Everything's dead. Unless it's a monolith or something like that with one insane amount of wounds, because remember, you're only doing damage 1. But medium vehicles, crippled if not dead. Small vehicles dead. Heavy infantry dead. Monstrous creatures probably dead. Standard infantry dead. Hordes dented. The only thing they can't really deal with, like I say, is heavy vehicles and not flyers, because they have the fly rule, so they can also deal with flyers. So that unit with those plasma exterminators is pretty funky. They have combat squads, and they also have a rule called Crushing Charge, which is roll d6 for each model when they charge, and on a 6 they deal a mortal wound, which is, you know, not too bad, because they're not great in combat, they're just a standard Primaris in combat. So to have a little thing like that, so you can charge if you really need to, and potentially deal out some mortal wounds, is pretty useful. So these guys are really interesting, really high potential. So they are 30 points each. Now the Assault Bolt is 15, so that makes them 45, which is what Terminator, you know, old Terminator grounds used to be. But like I said, you are getting 6 heavy bolter shots from each a turn. They are toughness 5. They have got 2 wounds. They are maneuverable. So, you know, I think that's okay. The Plasma Exterminator I think is pretty expensive, but you can't argue with it being expensive. It's 28 points, so if it's 28 points, that makes them 58. So that unit of 6 is 360 points. I accept. It's quite expensive, but I think it could be worth it, because you drop that unit of 6 down on the battlefield, and as I say, if they roll 3 hits, they're killing everything. But even if you roll 2, that's still 4 shots each, and you're shooting plasma at people. Most stuff's still going to melt. I think the only thing that would change is you'd put a slightly smaller dent in a mob, and the medium tank might not be in as much trouble. But that still leaves a lot of things in the game that would be in a lot of trouble, including flyers, potentially. It's just if you roll that dreaded 1 shot each, you're like, oh, it's only 12 shots, it's not going to do that much. And then they're a sitting duck for the return. So unless they're ambushing someone kind of isolated, they are a bit of a risk. They are quite a lot of points. But like I say, 2/3 of the time when you roll those 2 or 3 shots, I think they could be horrendous. And I think they're good with the Assault Bolters. So I think either way, they're pretty awesome. And I think you'll see a lot of Inceptors in armies. And again, could join the fast White Scar armies out there, certainly, but would fit in any army. So that's the end of the fast attack, guys. Let me know what you think of the fast attack section in the comments. Let me know what you think the choice is. Let me know what you think the opinions. Are the land speeders overpointed? Are the attack bikes looking like they might make a comeback? Let me know what you think. Let me know what chapter tactics they might work with. Like and subscribe. Let me know what you think of the video. And I will be back soon with the next part when we're going to start looking at the heavy support slots. See you then.